Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Butterworth. I'm the Assistant Director for Graduate Admissions at the Lally School here at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Today is our next installment of our Admitted Students webinar series, and we have Colleen Smith, the Dean of the Graduate Student Experience for Rensselaer, here today. And she is going to share about the services that are available to graduate students once you arrive on campus, and share any tips and tricks for succeeding in grad school and answer questions that you might have. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Colleen. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Charlie Ann. Thank you, Lally Admitted Students, for joining us today. I am Colleen Smith, Dean of the Graduate Student Experience at Rensselaer. My role at Rensselaer is pretty unique. There are not many similar positions at other institutions, but I don't need to go into all of that right now. But basically, I am here as a resource for you as graduate students. So what are we talking about today? So today I'm just going to give a brief overview about graduate experience at RPI. I'm going to introduce the iceberg illusion. You might have seen this before, but I think it really shows what graduate school is all about. We're going to talk about navigating grad school with some suggested tips on how to be successful. I'm going to give you some example campus resources, my contact info, and then we'll open it up for questions. So in summary, in the Graduate Experience Office, as the Dean, I am an office of one, but the graduate experience actually encompasses so much more than just me. It's all of the faculty, staff, students that I work with at RPI to make the experience of graduate students the best it can be. So I work with different campus partners to promote academic, personal, professional development programs and initiatives that provide opportunities for grads to be involved and engaged with other students, staff, and faculty. On this page, you'll see some examples of what that might entail. All the way to the left, you'll see that was a Halloween costume party, and those are actually 2 Lally alums. In the middle, top center, you'll see that's a photo taken from one of our research symposiums. At the bottom of the middle, you'll see that's a workshop career panel from our Black Graduate Student Association. And then all the way to the right, there was a welcome back gathering in the Mueller Center. And so these are new students who just met working on a puzzle together. So when I think about grad school and trying to explain grad school, what people think it is like this top level of the iceberg coming out of the water where all you see is success. But really, grad school, to be successful, it includes all of these other things that people don't see at the bottom of the iceberg. So that's persistence, failure, sacrifice, disappointment, dedication, hard work, discipline. Knowing that you are going to grad school, or you're coming into grad school, you probably know that it takes a lot of these things to be successful. But you don't always see it, and you don't always think other grad students are going through the same thing, but they are. So what I like to suggest is that, how do you navigate, what grad school is really all about? And I have 4 takeaways, what I think are the most important in terms of being successful in grad school and, getting to that, absolute success of being, graduated from RPI with your degree. And that is making professional development an important part of your graduate journey, taking care of yourself, developing positive relationships and asking for help. I'm going to go through each of those a little bit more. So making professional development a priority. Entering the Lally School, you probably know how important professional development is, but I'm going to go in a little bit more detail. So thinking about self-assessments, constantly doing the check-ins with yourself. What are your values? What are your interests? What are your skills? What do you need to work on? Thinking about when things get tough, well, why is this important to you? Why are you pursuing a graduate degree? Thinking about, even at the beginning of your graduate career, what do I want to do when this is done? What kind of career do I want to have? Do my values align with that? Also, professional development includes attending different lectures, webinars, workshops, going beyond, your discipline, going beyond the Lally School, attending different events on campus, sharing what you are working on. If there's ever an opportunity to communicate with others what your research is or what projects you're working on, it's important to share that with the community and get feedback, and then your ideas get better. Knowing where you are, tracking your progress is important, especially, in an academic program. You want to know, are you hitting the milestones? Are you doing what you're supposed to along the way? If you're not, how do you ask for help? Looking into volunteering and outreach opportunities, taking advantage of leadership development. There's a program that our Archer Center for Student Leadership offers called the Professional Leadership Series. I know you probably might even have leadership specific courses, but it's good to get involved in other leadership programs beyond just Lally, because you'll meet with other graduate students across campus. I'm a big fan of social media networking. If you are involved in Twitter or LinkedIn, it's a great way to just build your network even bigger. There is a large group of grad Twitter professionals who, just ask general questions, give advice. And so, you can ask questions there and get good advice. And I highly recommend, being on Twitter. It's a big support network, to believe it or not. So it's their academic Twitter. Staying informed, that includes, we have a email that goes out every morning called the Morning Mail. Take advantage of reading that and see what else is being offered on campus. I send a monthly newsletter. I know that Lally probably sends a lot of information. Read those emails. It might seem like, oh, I get so many emails, but there's important information there and you want to know what's going on. And then always, career planning has already begun. You're already in it. And so how do you continue to develop, what you are interested in the career, keeping your resume or CV up to date, taking advantage of our career services office, meeting with, staff from Lally to talk about what career plans, getting connected to alumni. So the second takeaway I have for you to be successful in grad school is really taking care of yourself. There are rights and responsibilities as a grad student. Know what they are. You might not know right now, but make sure when you have, when you started here, like read the handbooks, read the graduate student supplement to the student handbook. If your graduate program or Lally itself has a handbook, read those, see what you have, your rights and responsibilities are. Also, grad school gets very busy and you're going to constantly feel like there's more you have to do. There's more to read, more to write, more assignments. And so, but you can't do those things if you're not sleeping, eating, and exercising. I know it sounds like common sense, but it's very common that grad students put that on hold. Don't do it. Finding your own organization method. I am not going to say this is what you should do. It's what works for you. Some people are organized with random papers all over the place. Find a system and stick to it, and constantly remind yourself this is what helps get you there. I'm a big fan of journaling and writing down what's going on in your life, what you're feeling, what you're thinking, kind of having that to kind of process what's happening in a day. Reminding yourself okay, this is why I'm here. Reminder, you need to get more sleep, whatever you're working on. Also, you need to take breaks. It's very common for grad students to want to wake up very early and work very late. And that, again, going to sleep and eating and exercising, that's just not good for you overall and your well-being. Also a big fan of when you're taking those breaks, spend time with family, friends, call home. Some people like to schedule a time where they can connect with family or friends from, wherever home is. Go to different events, explore the Troy area. Don't just stay in your apartment, in your apartment and class. There are opportunities and it's going to enrich your experience overall. And now we can do some of these things because we're not all remote. We get to hang out in person again. The it's a kind of a no-brainer, but I have to say it, you have to develop positive relationships. And part of the positive relationships that you build, you must communicate. So when things are not going so well, it's important to communicate. When things are going well, it's important to communicate. If you are struggling, you need to reach out. You need to ask, for help. When you don't communicate, we don't know how you are doing. So keep people informed, even if you feel like you're communicating too much. It's good for us to know. It's good for your advisor, for faculty, for your friends. Communicate. Just communicate with one another. A lot of times when there's conflict, it's usually because there's a lack of communication, or no expectations were made when it comes to communication. I'm also really a fan of having multiple mentors. You may have an assigned advisor, and you may have, one or two people that you might connect with, but connect with as many people as possible, because not all people can be all things to you. So finding multiple mentors, not knowing where to navigate and find them, to keep the mentors you have from wherever you're coming from, stay in touch with them, but know that, your success is really, it depends, it's not dependent, but it helps when you have multiple people in your corner. Your graduate program staff and faculty are they know everything. The administrative staff are your go-to people. So you might hear the term graduate program assistant. It might also be your advisor. They are the ones that can help you. If they don't know, they will reach out and refer you to someone else. So definitely, don't be a stranger in communicating with them and getting to know them and thanking them. Our graduate program staff do so much, and they're really there to help you succeed. So definitely acknowledge that, they're there for you, and be grateful for them, because they work so hard. I said this a little bit earlier, but that means like going beyond your discipline. Any opportunities you have to meet other graduate students, building those relationships with them. Research projects, careers, opportunities always come up in conversations amongst graduate students. It also is helpful to talk about, what you might be going through, because more than likely someone else might be going through something similar in another program. I would highly suggest, to be successful, you need to avoid conflict as much as possible. Not like avoid it to the point of, oh, I just don't want to deal with this conflict, but know how to address it when conflict comes up. Don't be competitive with one another. Celebrate one another. When jealousy kicks in, everyone's at different places when they enter, and I think acknowledging that and celebrating where everyone is important. Of course, collaborating with one another, and then just being open-minded to grad school in general, and to being in a new environment and meeting new people. So the fourth most important, I think, is asking for help. There's a lot of hidden things when it comes to graduate school that is just not shared, and it's not because no one wants to share it. It's just because people forget that, there's a new group of grads that don't know everything. And so if you have a question about something, most likely someone else has that same question. So do not hesitate to ask if you have that question. Similar to what I said before, like here's some areas where you might ask for help: your graduate program, staff and faculty, within your department or your specific, so the school, Lally itself. So you might be studying one specific area within Lally, but then there's the entire Lally school. There's the Office of Graduate Education. That's where the Dean of Graduate Education is. There's also Student Services, which is, they kind of help monitor your progress, keep a record of your study plans, monitor how you're progressing. There's someone there that works with graduate students on fellowships and award opportunities, external funding. There's also, we have called a graduate student ombuds person. This is someone as a confidential source that you can talk to about anything. And the ombuds person can help and give resources and advice to you, and you decide how you want to deal with that. And no one else on campus knows that you meet with this person. So that's a really nice source to have. Within the Division of Student Life, that's where I am. So I'm not on the academic side of the Institute. I am within Student Life, which is where a lot of the support services are, but that's not the only place where they are. Also, other groups and organizations on campus, especially student groups, student organizations. We have a lot of clubs, student groups and clubs that are part of our student union, but we also have a lot of graduate student groups and organizations that are not part of the union. And I know Lally probably has, a group of students that, come together or organize events, programs. More advanced Lally students, ask them questions, ask them for help. More likely than not, there will be Rensselaer graduate students in Lally who completed their undergrad at RPI, and they have a wealth of knowledge. So ask them for help, other campus resources, and like I said, other graduate students. So I kind of want to give you a snapshot. This is not all the resources available, support services, but just kind of an idea of like visually what it looks like. I am a strong believer in your success is when we put you at the center as a graduate student, and knowing that you have several areas on campus that you can go to. Clearly your graduate program faculty and staff is probably who you'll start with a lot of times, because they're the ones that, you work with grad admissions. They're the ones that then kind of transition you over to the staff and faculty that are working with you as an admitted student. But you have so many more people beyond that. And this is an example of that. I mentioned some of them, the Office of Graduate Education. I'm in graduate experience. There's also, we have a Center for Global Communication and Design that is, they help with all projects, communication related. So writing, presenting, they're an excellent resource. And there's other graduate students that work there that meet with graduate students. Our Dean of Students office, there's an off-campus commons that helps with off-campus related issues, perhaps, you're having landlord issues or you just want to learn more about the area. They're a great resource. Our international services for students and scholars. If you're an international student, you probably have already been in contact with them, especially if you're starting this semester. They are a go-to source for all things, visa related and paperwork documentation, but they also have a wealth of knowledge themselves. And so they're very accessible and available to our international students. Our Center for Career and Professional Development, that's our career center. Public safety is a huge resource. We have public safety is constantly driving around campus. They are available 24/7. So if you have a concern or question, you can call them. There's a lot of information in our libraries on, learning how to, how to, as a graduate student, you'll probably be doing more research. So how do you navigate the library? What journals are available? I mentioned our Archer Center for Leadership Development. That's another great place. Our counseling and health services. We have counselors available. Many graduate students meet with our counseling staff because graduate school can be so stressful. And then similar to what I said before with the other student groups, so there's student organizations, there's the union, which also includes like our Mueller Center, which is where it's like our fitness center, and then our graduate student council. So this is not all of the services, but I wanted to show you at least some of the resources. And when you're actually here as an admitted student, you'll learn more about all of these areas. So this is me, my contact information. I am the Dean of the Graduate Student Experience or Dean of Grad Experience. This is where I'm located. I'm located in Academy Hall. We're not necessarily taking in-person appointments yet, but we might be. I'm also available via WebEx. That's my phone number, my email, and then the link tree will take you to a bunch of other sites that, different things that are happening within the grad experience or related programs. And that is me. So welcome. And let's turn it over to questions. And I think at some point our recording will probably stop or it won't be posted. So feel free, Priscilla